dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amano Boarding and Day School.
Welcome to our video lesson, our 7th lesson. My name is Teacher Eric. I'll be taking you through the branches of the government that we did last time. Remember, we said that we have 3 organs or branches or arms of the government. 1 was the executive, 2 was the parliament, and 3 was the judicial branch. So we looked at the legislature or the parliament and what they do. They make laws. But we went ahead and looked at the executive, the head of the executive, who is the president, and said that now the president is the head of the government of Somaliland. Therefore, the president does not work alone. He is part of the executive. He is the boss of the country, but he is being helped by some other people, some other officers. Now, the president has his powers that we looked at in our previous lesson, like ensuring that the country is safe, there is security within the country. He appoints ministers and even the vice president. He is in charge of the government. Now, what about now the vice president? Today we shall be looking at the powers of the vice president. What does the vice president do? What is the role? What is the work of the vice president? That is what we shall be looking at today. And we shall look at the end of this lesson, some of the roles of the vice president, what he does. And I think you know very well that even in class, whenever the prefect is absent, whenever the prefect is sick, for example, there has to be that person who is helping the prefect. For example, if the prefect is sick, there must be another person to help the prefect, to help the class to maybe keep quiet, or maybe to collect books, or to talk to the class. The same thing that in Somaliland, the president has a helper, a person who helps him. And who is this person? Well, the person is the vice president. What are the powers? Apart from helping the president, what else does he do? We shall be looking at that. And therefore, class, here we say that the vice president acts on behalf of the president when the president is away or when the president gets sick. The same way I told you that when the prefect becomes sick, there must be a helper, there must be an assistant prefect who will come to help, who will stand in when the prefect is sick. So the same way the president has the helper who is now the vice president. So when the president gets sick or when the president goes somewhere, the vice president will come in to help. So here the second point is that the vice president implements tasks assigned to him or her by the president. So to implement here is to do, like he does the tasks. A task is a duty or something that has been asked to be done. When a teacher, for example in class, if the teacher gives you an assignment to do, then that assignment becomes task. It is a task, and therefore it means that you will have to do that assignment. That is a task, a duty, something that you've been assigned or you've been asked to do. Now, the vice president does the tasks that have been assigned to him or her by the president. These tasks can be going somewhere to the office to launch some projects, to do some activities. So those are some of the tasks. Now another work, remember we said that the president comes, the vice president comes in when the president is away. He acts on behalf of the president. He also does some tasks or duties that the president has given him or her. Next thing about the vice president is that the vice president takes over power from the president whenever the president resigns. To resign is to officially announce that I don't want this work, I'm stepping down, I'm not going to be the president anymore. I don't want to be the president. So to resign, sometimes you can write it or you can just come on TV and announce that from today I am not going to be your president anymore. So when the president resigns, who do you think is going to take over? Who do you think is going to be the next president immediately? Your answer is as good as mine, that the vice president will take over when the president resigns. Or if the president is removed from power, maybe by the members of parliament or maybe by anybody. So if the president is removed from power, then the vice president can take over, can become the next president. To take over means that you have taken the work of your immediate boss. Now, here, another thing that you should know, class, is that the vice president can also become the president if the president dies. So in an event, God forbid, that the president dies, then the vice president becomes the president. We don't wish for that, but that is how the vice president can become the president. Next, here we have another member or other members of the executive. Remember, executive are bosses, a branch of the government which is made up of bosses, the boss. You know, when talk about executive, it's the boss. So apart from the president and vice president, we also have cabinet ministers. Minister for livestock, minister for foreign affairs, minister for maybe agriculture and farming. So all those, minister for transportation, information and communication, all those are ministers. We have their offices here in Hargeisa. Now, what are the functions, or what is the work of the cabinet or the cabinet ministers? They help the president. They work together with the president. Now, who appoints them? It's the president who appoints, who chooses the cabinet ministers. Now, the cabinet ministers help the president to implement different development activities in the government. To implement is to carry out or to do. Also, the cabinet ministers plan projects and report directly to the president. The project, for example, the country wants to build a dam, or maybe wants to build a hospital, or maybe wants to construct a road. That is a project, something that one wants to do. Now, if that project is to be done, then they have to plan for it. They have to ensure that there is enough money. Who does that? The cabinet ministers will always carry out the plan. They will do a plan. They'll give the plan to the president, and the president, through other ministers, will give money so that this project can be done. Now, that is the work of cabinet ministers. Up to there, I think that is marking the end of our lesson. I thank you for watching our video. Have a nice time.